Hello, my name is Heather. We're here today with the Victoria Commons. It's our podcast based on community, and we have two guests here with us today from LampPost Victoria. We have Simon and Jared. Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Excellent. The focus of our podcast is on community, and the theme of today's episode is access to community through participation, which is something I preach about quite often on our podcast. And so we just wanted to talk a little bit about what participation means to start us off with. And I'm gonna bring that over to Megan.
Great, thanks. Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to the podcast. Also, active participation.
Active
Let's
participation.
talk about it.
What does participation mean?
Okay, so today's subject we had it in our little notes, active participation, and I was like, that's redundant phrase. Participating is an action, so therefore, I was like being all pedantic about it. And Heather's like, active participation just means like enthusiastic, kind of. And then you had some definition. We've been talking about this for a couple of days now. But you had like definitions out, and you were like, you had a lot of good stuff to say. I can't remember what it was now, but you convinced me. I was like, just the act of getting off your couch is an action. So, and then you're participating. So, yeah. What did you say? Do you remember what you said?
Well, so I Googled participation.
Right. Oh. I looked it up online.
I looked it up on the internet. Yeah. Go gadget Google.
Uh-huh.
So participation just means involvement, contribution, I think is really important for participation, and just participating, right? Like taking part in that thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that also just means engagement.
Yeah.
Like being present, and when you're showing
I think
up.
that's what you said. It was like, you can't, like, you've shown up to things, but you haven't felt engaged in what was going on, or like the other participants maybe in the activity were not as welcoming or something like that. It was sort of like an experience that you had or something where you'd shown up to something and not really felt
Didn't
the
feel
vibe.
present.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's I still think sometimes like getting into the mindset of participating is more than just like being physically at a space.
Yeah.
It's being mentally present as well. Yeah. And what do you guys think about participation? What does that mean for you?
Honestly, the debate between participation and active participation is like, gym class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
That's the difference. We're at the ground, it's like, they're there, but
Yeah.
and then you got the kids that
Like,
they love it.
dodgeball,
That was fun.
This is gonna hurt.
I love being in class. I'm a little competitive sometimes. Yeah, you don't say. So I think we just also wanted to highlight some of the things that LampPost Victoria has to offer in terms of creating access to events. And can you tell us a little bit about what it is you guys do and how you help the community?
100%. Give a little, story background of why we started it, but
tell us about yourselves first.
So Jared and I moved to Victoria a couple years ago, and we're both very active community members. So we want to be out in the community, meeting new people, and the best way to do that is usually in person and at events. And during this time it was COVID, and we found that Victoria was honestly just we got bored. It was quite isolating and lonely, and we're like, it's kind of a sleepy city, not that exciting, And this was kind of the case for a lot of people throughout university, and a lot of just young people moving to the city. They're like, it's kind of boring, not a lot to do. And to kind of solve that issue of loneliness and the lack of community, we were like, okay, how can we make finding events and going out to things to meet people more accessible? And Jared gave me a call up while I was in South America on my exchange, and was like, yo, we should start this LampPost thing. We'll put everything in one spot. And we just started putting out our newsletter and mixed up on Instagram. It really just caught on like wildfire. Big light bulb moment for us.
The light bulb in the LampPost.
The light bulb has just really lit up the city, and a lot of people seem to be enjoying it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been working on this project together for? Like, you're in your second year, or?
Almost exactly our first birthday.
Yeah.
Like in like 3
Whoa.
days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that was like when we sent our first very crappy newsletter out to like 10 of our friends and family. I think Simon's mom was like probably our first subscriber. Supporter since day one. Yeah, and then like Simon said, I think people just kept telling their friends about it because like we were like checking all these event sources. And, like, there is stuff going on. It's just such a pain to find it all. Like, you gotta.
It's all scattered. Yeah.
So scattered.
Yeah.
Like our list of sources to check through each newsletter websites to make sure that we're getting everything in the newsletter. So like that's 10 to 12 hours for Simon and I to go do that for every newsletter. And you're not just gonna go do that if you're a student or working and not making a newsletter out of it. So like, we knew stuff was going on, we just knew we needed to like put it in one spot, and yeah, people started telling their friends.
Yeah, it's been going really well. Yeah, like I'm the type of person, like I biked here, you guys saw, like I will go out and I was trying to find events and like stuff to do, like what parties are going on, is there a market I could go to, like where can I just want to go to one spot, and like it was a problem we were really having, so yeah.
Cool. I noticed on your website that under the About Me section that you have that you two gentlemen met at a house share. Is that correct? Or you were your housemates before you were friends? Or how did you know each other?
Craigslist.
Really?
Jared has really seen me like grow up. But I was moving to Victoria for school 2021, and I was like, I could not find a place to live. Classic housing crisis, Victoria, and put an ad up for myself on Craigslist and just got matched into this home, just beautiful home up by the university with Jared and some other guys, and it's just been a really solid foundation for us to build on.
Are you still living together now?
Still in the same spot.
Still in the same spot.
Yeah, it's been awesome, honestly. Like I have a really good group of friends in that house, and a few people have gone in and out, but for the most part, it's
You're like the core, the OG.
Yeah.
Jared is straight.
The heart and soul of it, really.
That's so cool.
It's just like it's its own little mini community, right? Like that's such an amazing bond when the people you work with are like your best friend. It's it's a really special experience.
It can be challenging to navigate living with other people, and especially if you don't have a good rhythm or you don't have a good community or foundation for community with those people. So I'm glad you guys are able to find each other and make some magic happen.
We were just chatting the other night, we're like, the chances of this happening are like, and we're just starting this LampPost thing, are just crazy.
So how would you say that LampPost differentiates itself from other resources for finding events online? For example, like Eventbrite or Do 250. I'm sure you're familiar with those resources for people as well.
Yeah, I mean, not to call out anyone by name specifically, but I think like our main differentiator is just that we're not events focused, like we're community focused, and that's always been like our like central approach to it. And so it's less like, oh, here's the event that's been submitted so that people buy tickets through our platform kind of thing. Like we don't care where we find the events, it'll go in our newsletter because we just know that we want to get every event so that there's always something that someone's interested in the newsletter. And I think that is our main approach, is we're not really like doing it for the ticket sales and stuff. We're just making sure people have a chance to get out into the community.
Cool. If you were to talk to somebody who was looking to create a community for themselves, like what advice would you have to give, like about like if they were having some anxieties about checking out their first event, or they were uncertain as to what type of event would maybe fill their needs? What kind of questions would you ask that person, or how would you kind of have it? Like, do you have a guideline or criteria for assisting people in finding community for themselves?
Yeah, we have different pages on our website that have that are kind of niched out into different communities, more like safer communities, ones that are more active based, ones that are like cozy games based. So we have those that will like give you options with recurring events that you can go to and meet people. But to be quite honest with you, like it's scary to go out, and it's like not an easy task to do. And I know I'm very extroverted, but I still get anxious going to events. And I think just trying to find a space that you like, one, it's something that you're really excited about and you're interested in, and going with if you can go with a friend, I think that's a really big
Safety net
for you. And then just getting invited to an event from a friend is really helpful as well. But it's going with just being happy that you're going out and you're taking that first step is just going to get easier. So it's a scary thing, but let's say you're trying to get into knitting or crafting. A lot of these people are so welcoming, and if you're just honest with them and say you don't know anything. I remember earlier this year I went to the Green Thimble for a knitting sewing event, and I walked into this room full of like 8 grandmas, and I was just like, hey, like I'm trying to learn how to sew, can you guys help me out? And they were all very, very welcoming. So I think people are more welcoming than you expect.
Yeah, those mini communities are huge too. Like that's the little term we've done for them. But like there's so many different initiatives going on around Victoria of people like just bringing very like-minded people together, like hyper niche groups, right? So like there's cold plunge crews, knitting, biking, like pretty much anything you can think of, there's actually something for it. So like we know that events, obviously we're big fans of events, but it can be super like nerve-wracking going to those solo. Like Simon's extroverted, I'm super introverted, so my level of anxiety for going to an event completely solo is like, I'm not doing that. So highlighting those like mini communities that I can go and join, it's like, when you were talking on camera about like crafting in circles and stuff like that, and so I can go and find that and join those kind of crews, and it's like a regular meetup, and there's just a little bit more of a like recurring sense to it that makes it easier to meet people, I think, with those. Yeah,
and one thing I'll add on to that is like something we've noticed with our cohorts, which I'm sure we'll dive into, but consistency is going to be the biggest thing. And like when you consistently see those people, that's where those relationships are going to be the best. Like if you just go once and you're like, don't have a great time, it's you just have to keep pushing it a couple more times and you'll eventually win.
Yeah, to kind of encourage like comfortability with yourself.
Yeah.
In terms of, I know that, I mean, I've always been told in terms of like operating a business when it comes to like a customer facing business, which is primarily the roles that I've had in the past and currently have, is that your customers or your client base or the people that you see every day, you have to create consistency with those people in order for them to depend on you and to want to keep showing up. When you create that sense of dependability, when you're going to keep coming to an event. And so like communicating with people there when you have a good time. This was really fun. I would love to see you at the next one. I think like, or, like open communication. We were talking about enthusiastic communication and like saying yes to things and because sometimes I think when you say like, oh, maybe, it doesn't really come across as like an enthusiastic yes. So just kind of like more in the realm of like being an enthusiastic kind of person.
I would love to go to that instead of like, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Why not?
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't seem as like really as promising as like, I would love that. Let's do that. I would love to get to know you better. This seems like a lot of fun. And I think sometimes people can can maybe because of anxiety can be a bit shy around enthusiasm or committing to things. Yeah, or maybe just because your schedule is a bit busy.
People do seem to be busy here. It's a very common thing. I will honestly text like more people than I expect to come.
Oh yeah, that's the law of averages.
Yeah, like.
And I mean, yeah, especially in this town, it's like everyone has 3 jobs.
Yeah.
We're actually so busy just trying to, work groups, exciting things like that. So
Just life in general. Yeah.
it can be hard to squeeze in like fun in between all the work and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking to affordability, is there some really accessible events that you guys have really been put in the way of, or you've seen the community show up for that you wish had maybe a bit more exposure that people would know more about? Like, oh, this is this really cool cultural activity or this thing that's happening that's free in the city that you think people just don't know about that they can perhaps find more information on LampPost about?
Yeah, one of those events that we put on the other day was a great example, actually.
What's that?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Please. Enthusiasm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a free Indigenous music showcase.
Yeah.
Getting off the top of my head where it was.
It was at this.
Songs
Wellness Center. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just like the event organizer actually reached out to us, and we hadn't heard of it before that. Kind of like a one-off event, and it's always surprising to us, I think, when we find or someone lets us know about an event that we don't know about. We don't get 100% of them, but it's
I'm
always,
holding the stacks. How did I miss this one?
yeah. So that was a great one, and they actually reached out to us because they wanted to advertise through our newsletter, and we're so happy to help with that and really make sure to offer discounts and stuff to make that stuff more accessible for businesses that are doing good things, aligned with our mission, that are hosting events we support. We really want to make that as accessible as possible. So that was a great example of one that we would want to showcase more anyways. And then we're kind of given this opportunity to yes, we're going ahead with that.
Really get behind it. Other few events, a lot of the, for example, I'm a big runner. There's a ton of run clubs in town. And just Burn Social Run Club, Ubic Run Club, Full On Run Club. You just have to show up.
Are you in all of these running clubs?
I've showed up to a decent amount of them, yes.
Do you have a preference as well?
It's all I haven't shown up to Burnwood yet, but I think it's just depending on the crowd you want and who you are. I actually randomly ran into this older run club. It's called the Hash House Harriers, and they are.
That's a great name.
Yeah, they're this older. Round Mount Doug, and they're this older crew. I'd say 50, 60 plus.
Cool.
And they set out a route every week, and then they do the lap. And they go grab beers after, and it's all older people.
They're the ones that had the party at
Lighthouse.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're kind of running into all these places, but all the events that we list on our newsletter and our website, you can see if they're free or not. Just after this, we're probably gonna head to Listen Boy. They're doing their big patio days, and that's a free event.
Cool.
Just coming through and seeing, there's a ton of accessible things to go to that you would spend any money on. It's really good.
Cool. Have you guys started a community beyond outside of LampPost that you focus on? Have you pulled people from multiple communities that you've participated in?
Honestly, yeah. Today was a good example. I have this just group chat of just people that I run with we just meet. We're training for the TC10K, and my friend Dre, who's also very social. I was like, you want to get these people together? And I was like, yeah. We were just training together. We all the same goal. So, I think 10 of us showed up this morning. That's just no one really knows about it. It's just a little group chat that we made a few weeks ago. So, yeah, I would say so. Plus our cohorts. So
Yeah.
we can get into that.
Yeah. What a cohorts thing. Yeah. So it's kind of almost
sort of different groups. Can you explain that a little bit? Just what advice would you give to someone who feels like disconnected from their community and wants to find a specific group that they want to engage with? Is there a tool that you have created to bring people together?
Okay. Yeah. No, you. Yeah, I mean, definitely we started off just kind of building this resource with, like we talked on earlier, like the mini communities and all the events and stuff. And like, obviously we think those are great ways for, like, if someone were to come to us and be like, hey, I'm having trouble meeting community, we'd be like, go to our website. Because that's what it's all about. But we still had a lot of people reaching out even after we made that, just being like, I'm just struggling to meet people, and some people that have been here for like over a decade. I'm still having trouble meeting my community here, and it's just a struggle we heard about so much. And kind of over the summer, I just had a light bulb moment where I was like, we should be putting these people, like we've been doing physical events before, kind of getting to that point. But they were again like
ones
these,
that you guys put on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Mixers
Simon ran
Yeah,
like
so-
an offline cafe.
Yeah, we did like an offline cafe. We did like a pub crawl in town. We also did, I missed one.
Oh, Willows Beach.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
did a
just
Willows
beach
Beach
hangout.
like beach hangout as well. So we had these like in-person events that we were doing already as part of a way for people to join in if they hadn't
Everyone who's
had a
in the
community.
newsletter was sort of invited, basically.
Yeah, everyone's invited.
were they growing too big and you needed to kind of like divide that by interest, or?
We actually just found that it wasn't, like, we'd get a different crowd at each one,
Right.
right?
Oh.
And so we didn't really feel that it was actually hitting on the point that we wanted to build, in that we wanted like a specific LampPost community, not even in the sense of like, oh, this is our community, but more in the sense that like these people are using LampPost to find their community, like it was more on them or for them than for us. And so we just realized that these one-off events like weren't hitting that mark. So we started grouping. We ran our first one in October or November, and we basically like got a group of people together. We kind of threw it out in the newsletter like, hey, apply to this thing, and 10 people like took a chance on us running our first one. We grouped them together, and over 2 months we did 4 different events together, meeting up every 2 weeks. And yeah, it was really, really rewarding. Like that first event, you kind of had those first event jitters, but by the second event, everyone's like getting along pretty well. By the 4th event, people have been hanging out on their own outside of the cohorts. They're continuing to hang out even after the cohort's finished.
Yeah.
Cohorts is just our name for these little groups.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
And so now we're like grouping them more specifically by their interests. So we have like 4 categories now. Like there's the foodie group, the social group that one's more oriented towards people that don't really care what they're doing. It's more about the experience of meeting people. And then an active cohort and a cozy one for like crafts and reading, like book clubs and that kind of vibe. And so we really found that like with this new round, sorting people into groups, it's like bringing much more similar people together. And it's been really awesome exercise.
Yeah, like just adding on to Jared, we were doing these events and they just weren't hitting as well, so the cohorts that specified and created that consistency, which I mentioned before. Like all the events were just paid for. Like you would just pay for all these ahead, and it really committed you to showing up to these 4 events. And then that resulted in, okay, I know I'm going to see like these 10 people in like a week or 2 weeks, and it just keeps you more and more engaged for that period. And that's kind of all you need before you end up going off on your own. And we just had. So our last cohort ended in December, and we just went like pole dancing in January. We're going to be going out later tonight. So cohorts is really like quite an easy way for people to build that community if they don't really know where to start.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to kind of hold people's hand and like help them with community access. You know, that's that's fantastic. I know in the past, and something I actually mentioned, you know, I've looked at your event planner in the past. Cohorts was a new avenue of your website that I looked into recently. It wasn't something I knew about. Something I noticed about your color scheme was that it was very similar to Bumble. And I know that Bumble has, I don't know if this is like something you did on purpose or if there's like some color theory behind the, you know, the yellow colors that you use, the design elements, or if it was just to tie into like, you know, being like a guiding light with the yellow from the LampPost, which ties in with your branding. But I noticed that it was yellow. The first thing I thought of was Bumble Friendship, which I have recommended to people in the past. I haven't used Bumble Friendship myself, just because I'm really quite busy with active participation myself. So I'm like, not that I'm not in the market for more friends,
You're
but
really good at it.
yeah, I don't really need to flex that kind of that skill. So it was, and then maybe that, you know, I think that that's a great networking opportunity as well. There's something to be said for, you know, saying birds of a feather flock together. And I think you're kind of curating what type of birds are in which type of flock by doing this, you know? So that's really, really cool. What a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
We really find that like there's not a lot of hand-holding needed. Like it's just giving people the excuse to come together in the first place. And like I said, our first cohort, they were like hanging out on their own all the time, even after the cohort ended, right? So it's like you bring them together and then
Just
like, they're off on their own and like they come to the cohorts because they want that friendship and those connections in the first place. And you know, once you've given them the excuse and the similar people, like they're gonna run with that.
You're on your own.
Out of the nest.
I find like I mean the familiarity of like seeing someone over and over, it's like, you know, I tend to make friends with like people from work or like people kind of people are like complaining that it's hard to meet people or like make lasting friendships. It's like they'll say like, oh, it's so easy when we were in school, and it's like, oh yeah, you see those people every day. That's what kind of makes that happen. It's like having that every day or every whatever several times.
You're all in the same. You're all in the same, occupying the same space at the same time.
Exactly.
It's a lot easier to be in the way of those people and get to know them on a more personal level than you see them all the time.
Yeah, and that was like honestly a big part of the inspiration. Like Mel Robbins is like a big podcaster and author, and she had a podcast that I watched at some point where she was talking about how social dynamics like dramatically shift when you hit adulthood, because you know you finish high school and then you finish university, and if you're done with school after that, then like in the blink of an eye, that whole aspect of like these regular meetups, people you're seeing every day, is gone. And then you need to like, you're just stranded out in the wilderness trying to figure out an entirely new way to socialize with people, and like nothing prepares you for that. And like it's no wonder to me that there's like, they call it the loneliness epidemic. It's not shocking to me at all that that's a problem, because how else is it going to go when you finish school? And especially now, like, there's so much. It's easier to just go home and scroll social media than it is to like make these concerted efforts to get out into the community. So yeah, that's really what inspired it, honestly. It's like, how can you recreate that aspect of seeing people every day?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because Jared and I both recently graduated, and I've had a lot of friends move away. And I've had at least 10 people text me going, like, we need a LampPost in Calgary or in Kelowna, like wherever it is. Just because, you're left, like Jared said, you're really left. You grad, everyone disperses, and you go to your job, and that's like, okay, now we gotta square one. Really, you gotta really make that effort to find your community again. That would happen in school or in university.
It's the most familiar places.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's a huge part of it. Yeah.
It's a huge part. So cohorts really helps with that. But it is like a good reminder that like it's not just gonna come to you either. Like you do need to.
You show up.
You gotta show up.
You actively participate.
You gotta put the work in.
Showing up.
Be enthusiastic about it
Show
too.
up
Go on.
and then show up again.
Yeah.
And then again.
And then again.
Someone from
Never
our
leave.
someone from our cohort is he's been here for a while. He's in his early 30s, and I was like, what's like? So like, what do you get up to like during the week? He's like, I don't know a ton of people, right? Like, but he applied to the cohort. He's met 10 new people that and then Victoria's so small that you're one person away from knowing someone else. And I think this is the case. Yeah, I think this is the case in a lot of cities. So, it's quite a fun way to do it. Yeah.
Cool.
I like that. Yeah. Interesting thought that after uni, it's just really what happens.
Now what?
Now what?
Go get a job and then become friends with like those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not a big fan of your job, then,
Yeah.
like quite honestly, your life isn't that exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to have this this third place or place where you're going to that isn't just your workmates or the people that you live with, which I think is super important.
Such a different dynamic, I think, too, with the workplace. It's like when I got my first job out of university, I was like mostly working with 50, 60-year-olds.
Yeah, the
And I'm like, I'm 25 and I'm just a baby. Like, we're not going to be getting a beer after work or anything.
Compatible as friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like 40 hours a week was just crazy with these people that they're a couple decades older than you.
Yeah.
It's a hard way to go about life. So when you can find a cohort or find a mini community with people that are more your speed, it becomes a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question? You're coming up on your 1-year anniversary now of LampPost. It's gone through a number of changes just in the 12 months that you've been operating, which is really fantastic. Obviously, online communities are so accessible for people. They're just a click away. I love that you're getting people out in your life and connecting with other people. I think there's so many things that are intangible about connecting with another human that can't be explained, but you can connect with someone digitally, I think, quite easily through shared opinions or ideas or preferences. But sometimes you meet someone who's so completely different than yourself and things just kind of work. I know you yourselves have a lot of different interests. You said that you kind of have this dichotomy, you're introverted, you're more extroverted, you like the cozy activities, you really participate in some more physical activities, but you both have the same passion for community. I think that's excellent. Is LampPost just more of a passion project, or is this your full-time gig now? Is this your job? And what do you see in terms of the future for LampPost? It can only continue to grow. You said there's a need for LampPost to be in other communities. Is that something you've talked about expanding into?
Your foot.
Yeah, this is something we're really stoked on this year. We're hoping to expand into some other mid-sized cities, Kelowna, Windsor, Halifax, throughout Canada that are similar kind of population to Victoria. Not so much Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. These are some really large places that are just full of things to do. So we're really wanting to take this full on. Both Jared and I are, I'm still I work at a restaurant in the evenings, and Jared is also working as well. We're just kind of trying to transition into a space where we're able to go full on and build community. And I have this kind of thought that a rising tide raises all boats, and if we can do that, we've built something really great here, and people seem to really enjoy it. Like you said, we've had people text us that this is something they want, and we're there. So ideally, you're able to go travel throughout North America or Canada right now and check LampPost.
Is this something that you think, in terms of growth, do you want it to happen? Like, would it be sustainable if it grew quite quickly to multiple cities? Would you move to another city? Would you have brand ambassadors in another city? Have you thought about that?
Simon's thought about moving. I'm a baby when it comes to the cold, so I'm staying. I'm staying here.
Me too. We did our time.
This is cold enough out here.
Kids are like, I'm done with winter.
Yeah, I'm out. So like I'll be staying here, and to be honest, our jobs within LampPost really reflect like our different personalities too. Like Simon's much more the front end. You go on our social media, like you see Simon's beautiful face up there, and most people have no idea that I have anything to do with it. I'm running all the back end stuff. I can if it's in Halifax, I can do all the work from here. So, but one really important thing with how we've approached Victoria is that and you asked earlier what our differentiator is between other platforms. And one thing I forgot to mention there is we really focus on that hyper-local approach. And I think that people, when they land on our page, they feel connected to us because it's right there. We're like, hey, we moved to Victoria and we had this problem, and maybe you're having this problem too. And I think people connect with that.
I've heard that a lot about, sorry to interrupt your thought, flow, but I have heard that from so many people before moving to Victoria, and even when I got here. You're never going to make any friends. It's going to be so hard for you to find people to connect with. There's going to be no one your age. Everyone's a student or 100 years old. All of this is untrue, by the way.
It's really not true at all, actually.
It's there's lots of things to do if you put the effort into digging for those events, which you guys have helped mitigate. You've taken away a lot of the digging. It's less of a grave and more of just a planted flower now that you're digging. Yeah, not 6 feet under anymore. I finally hit the fader. Maybe that's a really bad example. I think that that is a really, really common thing that I heard amongst my friend groups, and having lived in multiple communities. I've heard that from friend groups from all across Canada.
That's
I've
so
traveled
funny.
A lot myself.
Really?
I've lived in, I think in the span of 10 years, I moved 43 times, just into different houses and stuff. In the last 10 years, I've lived in 6 different communities, 7 different communities. So having moved around a lot, I think that because I'm a really social creature. I like to find things to do. I want to go out, I want to meet people, and I want to connect with people, and I like talking. So I find different avenues for making community for myself, and I consistently show up to those places. But I love that you guys are taking the guesswork out of that, and you're encouraging people to continue to show up. But it's a really common thing that people say about Victoria, that Victoria is a really unfriendly city. People are really cliquey here. There's nothing to do. There's no young people. There's no scene. Yeah. And I just think that's so
really not true.
It's
yeah,
not.
And I think that mentality of
stigma.
You're carrying that with you going into the spot and talking about it. So changing that mindset of going, actually Victoria's, I found a really great community here, or have you guys checked out LampPost? There's actually a ton to do here. Just changing that mindset to being more positive, I think will result in a great community.
Positive outcomes. Yeah.
And even if you do find that it's more there's going to be people in your boat too, having the exact same situations and problems that you are, and so it's really just about just continuing to put in that effort until you find those other people. And I think we've tried to make it easier. It's still a lot of work, and it's community does not come easy. So
it takes time. It really takes time.
Yeah, that's why they call it community building.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah, falling into it. I guess you can fall into a community.
You stumble
into something, but community building is an actual phrase. So you have to do the work.
It's an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
So what are from your own active participation, what are some, I feel like I maybe stole your point from earlier. Did you have before I continue on?
What we're talking about.
Oh, expanding. Sorry. Yeah. I was just gonna say that making sure that we have that hyper-local approach in every city. so that people feel connected with the mission that we have, and that we're not just like another soulless platform. Like, there's a lot of event platforms out there, and when you think of them, like you have no idea who's behind that. Like it's just faceless, right? And we
Start exposing yourselves today.
yeah. That's why we're putting our faces here. Yeah, we see a lot of value in putting that face and the personality behind it. And so in terms of expanding into other cities, we want to make sure we're doing that sustainably and like staying true to our mission, not just expanding for the sake of expanding, but expanding because we want to do the things that we've done here in another city and like help people the way we have here in another city. So
with one of you perhaps leaving to go off on other adventures or expand your horizons, maybe move into other communities, how would you maintain the kind of the intimate community feel that you've cultivated here? Would you have somebody else step into Simon's role, or would you be able to maintain that now that you have like a foundation for your project?
Yeah, I think, well, it's hard to fill Simon's shoes, mostly because he's massive, but yeah, I'm no social media whiz, and it's something I really struggle with. So I think like having someone step into those shoes would be important, and I like we'll circle back to the cohorts. Honestly, is like some of the people that have gone through our cohorts now are like our biggest supporters and do more to promote us than we do promote ourselves sometimes.
Wow.
So
Talk about community.
yeah. So I think those sort of people that like a lot of them have reached out and like we want to be more involved with what you guys are doing. I see opportunity there for sure, but this is something where like just last week we're like, okay, let's start building the infrastructure to expand into Kelowna, and so we're very much figuring it out on the fly as we have literally everything so far. Poor planning, but okay execution.
Yeah. I think Jared's right on target there. Our cohorts groups are going to be the best people to fill that role, and we've built that up over the last year. But in terms of expanding into a new city and keeping that same energy that we've built, I think it's gonna be really hard. Like you have to pick someone that's outgoing and willing to build and go out on the weekends and get social. And just like building any business or community, like you need to have really solid people that are committed to it. So that's why maybe for our first one, I might be moving away for a bit and filling those shoes in another city, just to and that in itself can be an experience to talk about and film, because I'd be new going into a new city.
Yeah.
So they could really just build from
Implementing your own sort of practices and
Exactly.
things that you've
Yeah.
learned doing
so
this.
really a good opportunity. And then like Jared and I, when we started, we were he was in South America and I was here. So we've done a lot of back and forth of someone being away and
We've done the long distance.
yeah, so it's a beautiful thing about the technology that we have today is we're able to, I don't think anyone should be so locked into one place that they can't go out and go on a exploration adventure to another country or city and take a step back to explore. So that's the beauty of LampPost, is as well as if Jared wants to leave or I want us to leave, we can still match that.
Do you have like a specific strategy you're going to implement if you move into another location that's going to allow you to kind of build this new foundation? Like what kind of core strategies for meeting people and getting your idea out there and building community right away do you think that is going to shift depending on the needs of the community that you're in as well? Like is there, like I know sometimes people they'll go onto a social media platform of some sort and find groups of people there and kind of like implement them and go into them or infiltrate them, I should say.
Yeah.
And like be part of that and keep showing up. Is that what kind of strategies do you have to find that for yourself? Or we don't want to give away any of your secrets, your trade secrets, or
Yeah, that's
maybe for
Top
somebody
secret.
who's offline, like, you know.
Yeah, we've done a lot of, like especially when we were starting out, we just tried to get the word out there. A lot of it was like we'd go to the Victoria BC events Facebook page and just be like, here's 5 events going on this weekend, and just kind of drumming up that interest. So, like that is something we would for sure replicate. We were saying this the other day, like I was asking Simon what he would do differently if we were to start over in Victoria again, and Simon said like, reach out to all the people hosting events right away and just let them know that we're doing this, and just really focus on that. Getting into the community aspect from the get-go, I think, is even more important than like sort of infiltrating these online groups. It's really about
Bringing them into the real world.
It's more of a walk in the walk, I think.
Yeah.
Like we're building community, so let's go build the LampPost community in order to do that, right? And
Victoria's very, you kind of have some outdoorsy people, very arts and crafty, whereas Kelowna, we've recently discovered you're more focused on wine, and it's maybe a bit bougier in some sense, and it's a really different demographic. So catering to the niches that a city would have, like when I'm thinking Kelowna or thinking Victoria, it's like Blundstones, bag your pants, thrifting, like this kind of vibe. So when I'm out, if let's say I moved to Kelowna, I'd be impersonating and going into that vibe of the city and continuing to do that.
Figuring out the vibe of the city and nice.
working
Finding your role in it too.
Yeah. Like here, Victoria is very, if you're starting something or you have this a community that's raising everyone up, I think most people are really supportive of it. We honestly don't know what that's going to be like in another place, and that's all part of the fun. But whatever way, talking to the locals and getting that experience through them and seeing what the best way to approach it is going to be our best bet, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly what strategies, because it's just going to be so like, just gotta go and figure it out. It's just going to be different in every place, and we just got to roll with those punches a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Also, sometimes word of mouth, if somebody like invites you to an event, maybe you wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. It's more of an underground thing.
Totally.
I noticed there was like a portion of your website and your social media that did say that you wanted to expose underground events. Have you found a lot of underground events that have been brought to light because of LampPost? Or is that something you're still working on? Like, do you know a lot of those kind of smaller underground communities? Are you familiar with them at all?
Yeah, I'd love to answer this because
I can't answer it. I'm bound by silence.
I didn't know.
there's a lot of different like nightclubs, especially with the art scene here. We saw
Electronic music scenes.
like Quadratic Sound is shut down, Victoria Event Center is shut down, and the spaces for arts and music and performances has just been quite minimal over the last year. So there's been a lot of different pop-ups that have happened throughout the city, and some of them aren't legal, and some of them that we've posted, we've been told not to, just to keep
You've been silenced.
You gotta keep it secret so the cops don't.
Yeah. And
I see posters sometimes on like telephone poles,
On
like
LampPost.
on the weekend of telephone pole posters that have a QR code, very secret event things like, text this number on the day of type things.
totally.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So yeah, we posted some of those, but we just leave it as is. So to get tickets, you just text a number, and that's like, if you're keen enough to find that,
That's the only details we can give.
that's like
Yeah.
that's because it's underground, and there's a beauty to there's a beauty to
Nature
being
of it.
underground, and like Jared said, we're not going to hit it's every single event. But we've heard a lot of stuff. This tonight actually, there's like techno house party in Gordon Head that my friend just told me about. And I DM them and I was like, hey, can we post this event? And they were like, no, like just like private, don't post it.
Invite only.
Invite only.
Yeah.
And like, that's cool too. There's a
Respecting
ton
it.
of things going on around the city that are private that we just won't post. And that's also the beauty of being in a community for long enough is you will learn about these other things that are happening.
Just keep showing up and maybe you'll get a access only,
Yeah.
like an invite only invitation.
But some artists, for example, like opening up of the Downbeat, which is a new club in town, and residents collected, as well as there's a huge punk scene here with like it's like Bongwitch or IO, I don't know, like a lot of these different bands that are in town.
We went to a Bongwitch show.
We were playing last night. I missed it.
Yeah, exactly. They played last night, so I think they played at Wheelies last night. But a lot of these more local bands will host different shows and pop-ups, and that's just quite honestly like following them on Instagram and interacting with them, so you know what's going on.
So reach out to community members who you admire and take it upon yourself to find out more about what kind of activities that they're doing that might be, you know, maybe not accessible through social media or
and see how we can help them too. Like, I think that's another nice part about approaching it more as a community platform than as a business. It's like we're not really like reaching out to all these people who like trust your money or ticket processing or anything like that. We're just like, hey, like, can we post this? Can we help raise awareness at all? And sometimes they're not down, and like Simon said, right? And that's totally cool. I think it's beauty in that underground scene. So we're super cool, respecting that, and it's just important. I think to like keep that community focus in everything we do, even though we are like an operating business and would like to make money off this one day. It's like I think keeping that community focus is always been important.
Yeah, and like not losing sight of that in regards to like being tempted by monetization.
Yeah.
And capitalism.
A long slippery slope.
Very slippery slope. We really try and spread out the activities and post all sorts of activities and events that are just open to everybody. Because if you're on social media, it's so catered to you and what you're looking at that you end up missing a ton of fun and just different things that you would never see. Which I think is really beneficial for building community as well. Just seeing some random salsa night or crafting at like one of the bay at one of the churches.
So something that I'm sure everyone here is really aware of, within the Victoria community, there's lots of different municipalities. And then when people think of like the southern part of this island, Vancouver Island, they also think of, like Sydney and Sault. How far-reaching are your activities and events? Like, have you had people come out from the Jordan River or like Metchosin or shout out to Metchosin? Do you find that your community events are bringing people from farther away, or do you find that it's just mostly like Victoria and its neighboring municipalities that are pretty close? Like, what's the farthest reaching your event has brought person up from?
I'm actually not too, like, it's obviously hard to get detailed analytics on because people click on the links to the events on our newsletter and then like maybe not buy tickets, but like all those analytics over there from the stuff are on the actual ticket side, so we don't see any of that. Most of our audience is in the Victoria area, I think like 95%. And then Sydney, Langford, and I think like 0.2 or 3% in Sault and Duncan kind of thing each. So it is really Victoria focused, but and it makes sense because that's where we focus our event listings as well.
It is called LampPost Victoria, so.
LampPost Duncan.
Yeah.
LampPost Sault.
Let's
go surfing.
Maybe you could touch on the Seaside market we went to. and the amount of people there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we'll post like bigger stuff going on up in Sydney and stuff too, and like Seasider Farmhouse and Cidery,
Yep.
or Cidery and Farmhouse. They had, what is the event called again?
It was just a commercial market.
Yeah. Yeah, a big winter market, and we went out to it, and it was like absolutely
Just
jam-packed.
jam-packed. It was awesome.
And like first people we ran into there were like, oh hey, we like found out about this event from you guys. So
Cool.
Yeah.
hopefully it's like getting people out into those like really awesome events that are happening, but just sometimes right outside of where you would normally be walking and driving around, right? So kind of peripheral areas, but still great events, and that was an awesome one.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff going on at that market.
Yeah.
I feel like Sydney, just like not to take anything away from like Colwood, Mochos, and Langford, and like Souk area, but I feel like Sydney might be a little bit more accessible for people who want to visit because the ferries are right there. So like they might be passing through and want to attend an event there. There's like a really strong community-based market that happens, the night markets
Yeah.
in the summer,
Totally.
and I know that draws people from Victoria even travel to Sydney to go to that market once a week. I know a lot of artisans and farmers.
Mary Winsburg Center.
Mary
There,
Winsburg,
like,
yeah.
I was there
there's
last
a
week.
lot of
Great
things.
event.
Great
And
events
they-
there. Yeah.
They hosted an Outstages event through Intrepid Theatre last week that I went to, and they have fantastic things happening at that.
Mhm.
At that center.
And it's like
Yeah.
a nice small community too. Like whereas the West Shore is more strong and kind of it's like
It's hard to find parking too.
yeah.
If you drive, yeah.
I will say Langford is, like, I notice a lot of cool events going on in Langford now. I think that's, makes sense with all the big proximity people, but they've got some cool businesses starting out, lots of cool events going on.
Yeah, they've really densified out there.
Yeah, so I think, hitting back on your question there, that it's maybe less that we're bringing people out, or from outside Victoria into Victoria, and more like we're helping spread Victorians out into the peripheral areas.
Cool.
right?
Really a transient transaction of people. Because we might, like, I know, like in Langford, they have the Starlight Stadium, and they'll do,
Oh yeah. We just had a big soccer match there a couple days ago.
yeah, so they have soccer matches there with Pacific FC. They do, I knew there was a big sober like dance rave there this past summer, Brewery and the Beast. So a ton of great community events in that direction as well.
Yeah, and we really view, like when I think Victoria, I don't really think like Victoria and then there's Langford over there and like Colwood and Sydney's up there. Like to me, this is all just Victoria, and maybe some Langford people will hate me for that, but like I just see it as like kind of a bigger community that we're all
Yeah,
pretty
A
connected.
greater
so-
Victoria, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
The greatest. Victoria.
yeah. I mean, we were just talking about the Crystal Pool, and they're like, "Did you guys go?" And we're
We
like,
just voted today.
"Yeah, like we're not, like Jared and I were like out of the area, so like we're in Oak Bay, so up by the Union, and it's like, yeah, we could be like we're actually not even in Victoria ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's
Is it so our municipalities barred from promoting that? If
Yeah,
you're a
it was-
resident of Greater Victoria.
yeah. There was like a map I saw on the website.
Oh.
It kind of cuts off like halfway through Squannel, and then kind of like Burnwood. I think this area's in it, but
It is, yeah. There's a voting site close to here.
yeah, exactly. So it shows all the 10 voting sites, but it's not in Oak Bay because Oak Bay has Oak Bay Rec, Saanich has Gordonhead,
Yeah. Oh wow.
Gordonhead Rec Center. So
Oh, there's the Commonwealth and Spinal, right?
exactly. So those are all like different municipalities.
I'm a big fan of accessing rec centers for community.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the same people in the sauna all the
Yeah,
time.
sauna's a great way to
So
die.
shots go so crazy.
That's actually a pop-up trend that I've noticed more recently, like in bigger cities, where people are just building these little like sauna clubs. You go in and there's like 10 saunas and just like put in people. And
Megan was actually telling me about like a lot of the people who do the polar dip will also have like a sauna component of
Mhm.
They're like
There is one like
Cool.
down, not Clover Point, but there's like a mobile sauna thing that you can,
No way.
that's like parked over there or something, and you can like go do the ocean plunge and then go
Cool.
probably pay the little thing, the sauna part.
Sweet.
Oh.
No.
I would go and just get the cold plunge.
Okay, yeah.
Damn. Oh, I'm so cold.
Yeah.
Just touch
Your hair's not even wet.
Good go. Ready for the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cold plunges and have been a really big. Our friend Pierre, who runs the UVic board groups, and there's like Spidco's doing one. There's like a ton of groups.
There's
and
so many.
that do that. I mean, it's a great spot for it.
Yeah.
But bonding over the shared suffering before the sauna
Yeah.
is a great way to meet some new people.
Yeah. So, community cards. What's can you tell us a bit about community cards? What are they? What is this a secret club? Like Nelson did a deep dive, and so this is
I missed this
it's something Nelson brought up was
Okay.
community cards, and I don't think I did that much fishing for
Yeah, no worries.
information.
No worries.
So
Happy to explain it.
Yeah, it's something we launched like a month ago now, so it's very fresh still. But something we like frequently notice while we're going through the events is like sometimes businesses will be hosting discounts and stuff, and like it's not really an event that would like quite fit into what we're doing, but we want to be able to showcase that stuff. And like it's obviously a big part of the community is the different businesses and services that are around. So we want to be able to highlight that stuff too. We definitely see it as a huge part of our mission. Like it supports the businesses, local business especially is like super important to us, and then getting people out to them. So we wanted to be able to have a way to like showcase getting out to those different things while still kind of maintaining our events focus. So we started partnering with different businesses around town to kind of come up with these like discount codes and coupons or whatever whatever works for their business. It's pretty open-ended, and basically some of our subscribers can sign up to this for like a small monthly fee, and I'm happy to dive into why we have a fee as well. But the general idea is that when you pay into this card and you get access to, we've got discounts for Taste the City, which is like a local restaurant. Or I guess they're not actually.
Well, they're not. Well,
They're not local,
They're not local.
but they have services here. But it's like a restaurant tour you can do. We partnered with like OK Dope Comedy.
Cool.
We're huge fans of those guys.
Yeah, national. Really nice.
The Plant Shop, another. I'm a big plant guy, so I love them. Quite a few others that I'm not.
Yeah.
Victoria Royals.
Victoria Royals, Pacific FC when their new season starts. Boulder House, Spinco, Outway Stocks.
Four Cats, are they involved with that at all? Or?
Not yet,
Okay.
no.
Hopefully soon.
We've added
Now they mention it.
yeah, we've actually just added Birdie Break, and they're like this digital babysitting service. So you find really vetted babysitters. So if you're looking to go on a date with your partner, then you have used our LampPost Birdie coupon, and it'll give you a small discount on babysitter as well. So stuff like that, that'll help you find time for your significant other or even your friends to just go out into the community and support local and try new events.
And save some money doing it. And we try and work with the businesses to make sure it's like sustainable for them as well. And the hope is like all that extra traffic is that we're able to funnel their way is like beneficial for them, and it's beneficial for the people like signing up for this card. And,
It's symbiotic.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's about a relationship that's overall raising everyone up. But it's really a work in progress, and I think we've just launched it and we've kind of been advertising it a bit, but it's something that we're just going to keep tacking stuff on so people will engage with it more.
I think that stuff like that is, I'm assuming that some of your like partners through this endeavor are also maybe paying you a small fee or helping. They're not. Okay. I know that you said you're selling with these kind of membership cards. And I think that it's really important to support membership-based paid stuff like this. just so that you guys, I know that you don't pay yourselves through LampPost, but just being able to keep the site operational and not having to fund it out of your own pocket, which kind of leads me into my next question is, have you been invited a lot of community events that require like a monetary access to entry, kind of free of charge to expose the event, to garner more interest, or is that usually something you have to pay for yourself?
I guess I'll answer this because I'm usually the one going to events. Yeah, over the past year, I've paid for a lot of different shows, to be honest. But some I've been guest listed at, which has been really amazing, and I'm super grateful to be able to do that. So yeah, it's kind of like if we're in conversation about it, then we'll get the go ahead and the guest list. I went to open-ended at the Downbeat, was like a PE career party this past week, which was really fun. And there's no phones allowed in there, so like I'm not going to expose the event, but just to see it and be involved in that crowd and dive into something that I'm not so used to is a great way
It's a more underground event.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was exposed on our newsletter and everywhere else, but just to get into that space that I'm not usually into is a great way just to see different parts of the community. I think it's really valuable. But honestly, like the idea of supporting a vendor or someone who's hosting an event, like everyone's kind of, I wouldn't say maybe scraping by, but like I want to support local too. So if I can pay and support you, then I'm gonna do it. But much appreciated when we do get our benefits as we've done with LampPost. But we've provided a lot of value to the community, so it's nice to get rewarded every once in a while.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like your efforts are paying off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. Like I think paying for events is really important, and do what you can where you can.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Totally. Yeah. The like, what was I gonna say? Like if my friend or someone in the community is trying to build something and make it, like sometimes you're like, oh, can I get a discount here? Like, saying you guys can give us like a little, like I actually want to like give you the same amount or more because I want you to do well. And I think if any friends or community members are starting businesses, like we should be.
And it's important to respect the value of like the cost of operating.
Totally. Just to go for it, I think is really admirable.
Cool.
That should be supported.
Cool. I did want to say really quickly, you talked about the loneliness pandemic earlier. I've read a lot, just as a kind of a way of trying to wrap my head around it, or understand it. And it's been a long time since I have read any articles about this in particular, but I love your open-mindedness about attending events and exposing events and connecting with the community. The fact that you're both male presenting, in particular, it's so hard. Men are facing a loneliness epidemic more than any other demographic. And so I think that it's great that, and I don't know if you specifically felt this as a male presenting people, but I just really appreciate that you're really hands-on in the community and you're doing what you can to kind of staunch loneliness in general. But I think that men have a really hard time opening up and historically have had a hard time connecting with other people and forging connections beyond their personal relationships or their workplace, which is something Nelson and I actually talked about briefly. And yeah, I've read a lot of articles and they all kind of say the same thing. Men have a hard time connecting with other men. So not to shift things into gender dynamics or having gender specific events, but is there like gendered specific events that you have showcased or you would showcase? You know, you talked about like participating in a queer community event, would you be interested, if you haven't done that already, in doing like maybe like a safe all women, specific only event, or women identifying event, or men's kind of meetup? I know there are other men's meetups in the city. Do you expose those events too?
Totally, yeah. Simon's actually meeting with someone next week who's done a great job of starting a men's circle in Victoria, and like we're just like here to support that. Honestly, anytime I'm like feeling there's a lot of ups and downs of building your own business, and if I ever need like inspiration, I will scroll the Reddit, ask men anything, and it's just kind of gives me that I gotta keep going for this kind of thing. It's so like sad to read through a lot of the time, to be honest. So yeah, we're like big supporters of that, and yeah, we showcase like queer communities as well. Like if you go onto our website, we have a whole section that's like we call it safe events. That's specifically for like spaces put aside for male or female or anything in between or outside communities, queer communities, all that stuff we showcase through that event category specifically. And we'd like to branch that out into the cohorts at some point as well. Like, obviously Simon and I could run a male's cohort, and we'd like to branch that out into like a queer cohort at some point, and a women's cohort, and start hitting like older demographics. And ideally with the cohorts, like one day we have enough of these going on where like there's something for literally everyone in Victoria to be able to take advantage of this model that we know and have seen work.
And hitting all the communities.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, one of the people going through our first cohort is starting like a woman's circle or collective, I think is the term, starting this summer, and like we're gonna be promoting the heck out of that like for free, just because that's something we believe in, and so they're gonna go outside and heal and do whatever they do. But like build community, really importantly. So like yeah, that's actually the more we can reach down on these little mini communities and promote that in Victoria, like that gets us really excited.
Yeah, that's something we're super stoked on, is to like we built this thing and we have the privilege and ability to like really raise up all these different groups, which is just super sweet. Badass. I think there's like a trail running crew, like badass trail chicks or something. There's the
Babes on Boards.
There's a bike. I think there's a bike, like a badass bikers or something.
Yeah.
Biker chicks.
And so we usually post a lot of their events. There's meetups at Whistle Boy or trail runs. The Queer Run Club is another one. Carl at Ubic Men's Circle, and we can really just like bring all these people up, which is super exciting to do. So yeah, there's a ton of different spaces for it. And, if anyone's like keen on starting one, then like we're gonna support you 110%, and as long as it's overall raising the community to a new level. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any like links or things you want to shout out besides LampPost to your website?
LampPostVictoria.com.
Yeah. your other social media handles.
The LampPost is the main place to find everything. LampPost Victoria. Like Jared and I mentioned, like we have our mini communities there, cohort applications there, community card is there, and you could get a really good overview of events and places to find people that know.
Simon's being very humble right now, but also it's like he's done a lot of work making videos through our Instagram that are like just how to include people in a group setting. Was like the most recent one, and people really love that. Like we have comments on like, "Hey, this is great for introverts like myself."
Encouragement and
and just like just tips on socializing and building community and getting involved, like very hyper specific, more than just like hey, yeah, great, go to these events, but also when you're at these events,
Yeah.
try X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
So,
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. Any tips you'd like to share with us right now? Like,
Yes, I think one thing I do while I'm at the restaurant I serve at and that I see quite often is like just asking. I mean, you ask consent in a way that's like, can I sit with you guys? Can I? Yeah, is it okay if I dance with you guys? And like, can I take this class? It's just like doing it in these little scenarios. People are gonna be very receptive to that, and as well as the video I posted the other day was just trying to know your surroundings and include everybody. So sometimes you get these groups formed at networking events or at run clubs where you're closed off from people behind you. So just taking a moment to shift and step back and try and open up the space so everyone's included. And being being honest. I went to a all women's women in leadership at Quench this past summer, and I was one of the only guys there. Obviously very nerve-wracking for myself, but a great opportunity for me to interact and show my place and where I stand in the community. But I was really just quite honest, like, hey, I've never been to this event. I'm honestly quite nervous, like, what's going on? And then any honest, like, good human being is gonna be like, oh, like, yeah, so we did this today. Come meet my friend Megan or Heather, and this is Nelson, like, everyone will be very inclusive if you're honest and vulnerable in that sense.
I think another great one you did too that really resonated for me was like intentional questions, like not just how are you or what did you do this week kind of thing, but like what's been getting you excited lately, which one that you were really big on for a while. I think like having like kind of card up your sleeve sort of thing of like just deeper questions is really awesome for taking, like, you meet people obviously and they can like remain very surface level, and that's natural too. Sometimes people don't want to go deeper than that, but I feel like asking these intentional questions a lot of the time they do want a deeper relationship than just like the same old, how are you, what are you doing, Victoria, what's work. So yeah, just having those kind of like tricks up your sleeve for getting into deeper conversations and getting to know someone, like what makes them tick kind of thing.
My favorite question is, let's say you're at a networking event, it's your first time going to an event, and you start chatting with someone, oh, what's your name? I'm Simon, nice to meet you. What got you really excited this week? Like, what's something you're looking forward to? And that always, even if it's as simple as like, and you can just say like, it can be as simple as your walk to work or a coffee you had, and then you just go off that, and that immediately skips the work, where you from talk into who they are, which I think is a really great question I was asking.
cool.
We can even do it. Let's do it now.
Okay.
Okay, so what are you looking forward to for the rest of the weekend?
You know what? I'm looking forward. I'm gonna attend a comedy event tonight at Heckler's.
Oh, sweet.
Heckler's has a newsletter. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And they kicked one out at the early part of this past week and said, you don't want to miss this show. And sometimes I see those and I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll wait till free tickets come my way. It's free ticket time. Then I actually had a mutual friend who I met through my former workplace. And he was a patron, and he reached out to me right after that email, and he was like, and he's really into comedy. He was like, Heather, this is a really good one. And we have a similar appreciation for the same types of comedic artists. So I was like, I guess I gotta go to this one. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. I hope it's as good as it's been promised. You know, there's a bit of hype that's been created around this event. So
do you go to a lot of shows now?
I really enjoy going to live comedy. I really enjoy going to events. I'm very extroverted, much like yourself. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I also have a project I'm working on that I'm maybe getting my hands a little dirty tonight.
Sweet.
After that, so I'm just kind of. I think idle hands are one of those playgrounds.
So that this is me asking you, and now I can go. Okay, I know you like comedy. I know you like to go to events. I know you have a hand project that you're working on. Where I can
talk about any of those.
Now those are some things that I go on, and I go, okay, so have you traveled? What's the best comedy show you've seen? Do you watch where have you been to travel for that? Would you consider doing it? And then this is a way that you can skip a lot of the mundane stuff about going out and meeting
personalized content.
Yeah, so you have your personalized thing, and you just get better the more you do it. So
you made a human algorithm for talking to people.
Yeah, and it just gets you right on there. You just listen to what they have to say, and then just keep asking questions about it. And people love talking about it. Gets them excited. Why wouldn't you want to talk about that?
I'm curious to know what happens.
I was going to say, I was talking to a friend this morning about online dating and how that can be and this, this guy is just what do you do for fun? And I was and I threw my phone because it's I don't a bunch of stuff. This is such a tell me about yourself. You know what I mean? Such an open, big question.
Where do you start?
There's where do I start?
Yeah.
So I just kind of was I put my phone down, and I was talking to my friend, and she's don't even answer it, just do your own thing. And I was yeah, I'm just gonna ask him some questions. And I was are you going to any shows this summer? You got any vacation plans? I was kind of a little bit more specific, you know what I mean? And then the conversation started flowing, and it was kind of you can kind of
so you apply the same principle to online dating,
sort of, yeah. Be sort of a little bit more focused on one and something that they're excited, something future, something that you're excited about, travel plans or shows coming up or whatever that kind of stuff is. Yeah. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick tip.
That's great.
Gamifying socialization.
I don't know. It's just I encourage being curious about the person because everyone has something cool they can offer. I haven't met anyone going to so many comedy events, nor have I talked to someone from the other perspective of dating and what that's like. So there you go.
Same thing, when I tell people about LampPost, they're oh yeah, that's cool, events, and then I tell them about the cohorts, and they're oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's what I need.
That's what sets you apart from other...
Yeah, and then they apply, we actually had a newcomer come through our first cohort.
What's her name? Do I know them?
Odds are good.
Yeah.
And I think I've had that a few times. Unfortunately, we do have a massive wait list at this point for the cohorts.
Wow,
so,
cool.
over 150 people on our
100%.
wait list. The first one we did, the first cohort, we just kind of sent it out. We said, hey, just tell us a bit about yourself, and then we kind of manually sorted it. And now when you go through the process, it actually, we've got a little Hogwarts sorting hat.
I was gonna say sorting hat.
And it sorts you into the cohort that we think is best for you based on a little series of questionnaires that you get. And so we sort them by that, and then first come, first serve for when we run those events too. So
yeah.
So those events that are specific to the cohorts, are those events also listed on your website as for places for people to go to, or are those more curated?
More curated. And reason for that being is we need that buy-in from people. We need that commitment to it, and so we don't really want people. Not that we don't want people, but I think there's more benefit if it's something that they commit to, and it's this is the group that's going to be there for all 4 events, because we know that that's the best way for them to walk out of the experience being I made new friends. Whereas I think if we opened it up, I hate being exclusive. We obviously really focus on inclusivity with everything we do, but for the best experience, we kind of make those exclusive in a sense that we know that that's going to mean that the same crew rolls out for every single cohort event, and then you walk away and you're I've just seen these people at the last 3 events, we just did the last event together, and now we're gonna be friends after this. It's the same crew.
Yeah.
every time.
Continuity and
Yeah, it's really important. So yeah, we don't really, we advertise the cohorts themselves, of course, but we don't really advertise the individual events.
I also wanted to just quickly ask you, you said that you saw a couple people in their maybe 30s. Are you finding the majority of the people that are coming to your events are like Gen Z, like younger people that are around your age group?
Yeah, there's definitely a sweet spot of about 24 to 34, 32.
Okay.
It's kind of this, I think it's this middle ground of life where maybe you graduated from uni, you've been a couple years out of high school, and you move somewhere, either move somewhere new or you're working a job and you're kind of bored and you want to meet some new people. And that seems to be a very prominent audience that we get applying cohorts and wanting to go.
Which it makes sense when you think about it too, because like that's that time when that social dynamic changes, like we were talking about earlier, right? It's like, that's when you realize how freaking hard it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like most of the applicants that we get, but for sure we get lots of different people trying to get into the cohorts, and like to be honest, we can't even, like for the sake of them having the best experience that we could possibly give them, we can't even actually like hit all of those demographics yet. Like we're both obviously younger, and so I think the idea of us running a cohort for a bunch of like 55 to 65-year-olds is like, I don't think they would even enjoy that.
You might not even be able to connect with them.
Yeah, and so like we obviously want them to be able to experience cohorts, and we want them to be able to enjoy the cohorts. So like kind of finding that common ground of,
They might not even know how to find you guys.
Yeah.
they find us.
We've had a lot of.
Really all demographics.
Yeah.
Really?
Like it's 65-70% younger people, is between that like 18 to 45 range, but we got decent.
Eventually we'll get
Everyone will know.
Yeah.
When you were saying like you went to the sewing thing, it was like just my granny said,
Yeah.
took care of me basically.
Oh, I felt so welcome. I think anyone can do it on there. Like all these older people, they love young people.
They want to share their
And
skills.
they want to share that.
Yeah, sure.
They don't want their craft to die out.
Yeah, like
Someone new to hear my story.
Yeah, like
settle in.
like they just light up when you are curious and ask the questions, and there's a lot to learn from those folks as well. So eventually we'll get to a spot where that's more accessible for everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna find the balance point there.
Yeah.
Something we're still working on.
Thanks so much for coming on today,
Questions?
guys. You're really fantastic to talk to, and I hope that this is a massively successful project for you guys.
Yeah.
I hope that more people get involved with LampPost, and hopefully people see this podcast and they, outside of reaching just Victoria, maybe they're like, wow, what a cool idea. LampPost is going to be in Kelowna soon, and I can't wait to go to a wine tasting with Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, likewise for you guys. And I've said it off camera, but I'm really stoked that this podcast project is getting going. I think Victoria's going to eat it up, and something I've been looking for like more than a year now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for all the awesome questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so on that final note, is there anything that you guys had wanted to shout out?
Like just a big thanks to the entire community for like continuously putting on events and like you guys hitting us up, and
So if someone was putting on an event, they could just reach out to there's some sort of contact us thing on the
Jared's built a beautiful website. It's super easy. You just go fill out your form. You can check out the community card, apply to a cohort. That's all Jared's masterclass. So
When if you are a leader within the community and you wanted to put on an event, there's a part of your website where a person can reach out. And then have you turned away any cohorts applications or any community events that you maybe weren't aligned with your values?
Yeah, I think there's been a total of 2 events that we've consciously have you feel space or you can post this that have reached out to us specifically. I mean, there's a bit more of a process when we're looking at stuff, but we've only had this pop up twice with people reaching out and like filling out. Like when you're on the website, there's an add an event form right at the top, and you put in all your details. It's in 30 seconds, and then we make sure it gets in our database. But yeah, one of them was just kind of offensive, to be honest, and not aligned with our values. It's like, this is not going in the newsletter. We did not bother to get back to them because it was courageous of them to ask in the first place.
Like Proud Boys or something.
Yeah, it was offensive.
Wow.
And the other one was, and this is like a disclaimer right in our ad and event form, is like we do not post anything like overtly political because we don't really have a platform that allows like discourse.
Yeah.
And so there's no way to like have deeper discussions about any of that stuff. And so we don't feel like right using a platform that doesn't give that ability for deeper discussion. Like we don't want it to be taking one side or the other or making it seem that way. So I think those are the only two that we kind of turn away or in those categories, but 99.999% are getting into the LampPost newsletter.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that'll get seen by over 6,500 people on email, and then 10,000 over our socials, just here in Victoria, which is great. And it's like we've been saying, if you're trying to start something or just get out, like start an Instagram account, start building that community yourself, reach out to us. We want to be community champions and like uplifting everybody. So just making it's all accessible now.
Cool. Awesome. So I think that is pretty close to wrapping up, but wanted to quickly finish up also making a land acknowledgement. We're here on the unceded territories of the Songhees and the Spinal First Nation. We're very grateful to the traditional stewards of the land for taking care of this space for us to be able to access that as colonial settlers. And we want to pay homage to those peoples. So thanks for having us here in Victoria, the land that we currently call Victoria. And we're so very fortunate to have access to beautiful spaces and the activities that take place here. Cool. Yeah.
And thank you again to our guests.
Thanks for having us. We're stoked.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
And